In 1978, Californians voted for Proposition 13, formerly known as the People's Initiative to Limit Property Taxation. This ballot initiative is considered a conservative response to the growing concerns regarding property taxes among Californians. These concerns were deeply rooted during the 1960s and 70s. After the California Supreme Court ruled in Serrano v. Priest that property taxes should not go directly to local school systems and instead should be distributed, many wealthy Californians saw that their taxes no longer benefited local schools. Californians, especially older Californians, also saw higher property taxes due to the state's growing population. Rising inflation furthered the problem, and many retired citizens could no longer afford to live in their houses. When property assessors were forced to determine tax assessments purely based on property value, a larger burden was put to bear on homeowners because no longer did the commercial sector provide a disproportionate part of the state's income. As a result, many Californians were being forced out of houses they had been living in for decades. These concerns were spearheaded by a former appliance salesman and newspaperman named Howard Jarvis. Jarvis allied with Paul Gann to form a ballot initiative process whereby they could add to the state's constitution an amendment after gaining voter consent. They were successful, and in 1978, Proposition 13 became Article 13A of the state's constitution. There was a 70% voter turnout, 65% of whom voted for this taxpayer revolt, a clear indication that Californians generally disapproved of government regulation of their taxes and increased taxes in general. Proposition 13 reduced property taxes by about 57%. In order to prevent future taxes, the proposition also required a two-thirds majority in both legislative houses for an increase in all future state taxes. Many argue that Proposition 13 has given more predictability to homeowners and therefore increased communal stability. Additionally, these people believe that Prop 13 was crucial in bringing the state out of stagflation by pulling Californians ahead of the national economy. In general, Proposition 13 has not actually decreased state spending. However, Proposition 13 has caused a cascade of negative effects on the real estate market. Since the passing of Prop 13, multiple disincentives for selling property emerged. Due to the new affordability of living, people began to keep their homes for longer and tended to pass on their homes to family members rather than sell on the market. As a result, mid-range housing became scarce, and there was not enough developable land to create more housing. The scarcity of real estate, therefore, led to an appreciation in value per house. In return, the housing market stagnated and potential homeowners moved out of state or rented. In addition to these negative impacts on housing, the commercial real estate market used Prop 13's measures to bypass property taxation. Owners of this kind of real estate began to deed their property to a corporation and then sell the corporation all of its assets rather than the property itself, since property taxes by Prop 13 were determined by resale value. However, if there was no technical resale, there was no increase in property taxation. Also, Prop 13's provisions unbalanced the equity of taxation. Prop 13 assessed the value of property at the price at the time of purchase. This caused property taxes to be based not directly on means, but on the time at which the property was purchased. This led to people living in the same neighborhood with roughly equal means being taxed wildly different amounts. Since schools financed by property taxes were declared unconstitutional in the state of California, schools funding went down radically. As a result, California public schools, once top in the nation, dropped to rank at 48th in the United States. Enrollment also went down tremendously as a result of this lack of funding. This proposition can be seen as a precursor to the movement towards modern economic conservatism epitomized by President Ronald Reagan in Reaganomics, where a big government was taken out of the economy and taxes were cut in hopes of stimulating the economy through consumption. These ideas are still popular in American political thought. To this day, Proposition 13 is enshrined in the Constitution and has a 56% approval rate. Only 33% of voters disapprove of Proposition